and welcome to this new episode of Christine Means Business. I'm very excited to have you here today, and we are going to talk about entrepreneurial mindset, and in particular, how the choice of making things easy can be the hardest part of the whole entrepreneurial journey. So, first of all, I want to discuss what an entrepreneurial mindset is, because I think it's something that, especially in academic literature, is discussed over and over, and there's different pillars to it. There's the idea of how you take decisions, how resilient you are. Other people literally only limit it to how much revenue you make. Then there is the discussion about, can you be an entrepreneur if you didn't create something new, which is a huge discussion when we have, for example, people taking over a company, specifically a family business, first generation, totally entrepreneurial, no doubt about it. But what about the second and even third generation, specifically when you have people who would never been interested in the business, and they wouldn't be working in it unless they were kind of destined to do that, or invited and incentivized to do that throughout their whole history, their whole lives, really. So there's lots of questions to this, and I'm going to try to answer a few of them. Now, the first one is obviously, to me, why is an entrepreneurial mindset important? So to me, there is some element to an entrepreneurial mindset. I am an entrepreneur completely, but I didn't know that until I was actually an entrepreneur, because it's not talked about here in Luxembourg, at least, and a lot of times in Europe. Entrepreneurship is a thing that hasn't been on the map for that long in terms of really being a career, and it is changing. Now, what I think, though, is that you can have people with ideas, but that alone does not an entrepreneur make. Same with studying entrepreneurship, reading theories, reading case studies, reading the psychology even, does not an entrepreneur make. For me, an entrepreneur and an entrepreneurial mindset is something that you inherently have. Yes, you need to foster it. You need to work on it if you just start out. But to me, it's very clear that when I talk to entrepreneurs, to true entrepreneurs who are in the trenches, we speak a different language than anyone else. You get it. You understand each other. You take journeys that nobody else would. You take decisions the way nobody else would. So it is incredibly important, because if you don't have that entrepreneurial mindset, it's going to take a lot of stamina to stay in this business and to make it successfully, because unfortunately there's a lot of disappointment and a lot of work until you become successful. That's just the way of new business creation is. And it's something that not everyone will tell you. So a good example is in Luxembourg, for example, we have a lot of incubators, we have programs for entrepreneurs, but most of them are taught by people who've never built business. They've been trained and they basically repeat what they've been told, or they were CEOs in big companies that were themselves kind of franchises. So they never had to build it. They never had the skin in the game in terms of, if I don't make it, I won't have a salary, or my people won't have a salary. It's just not the same. And when I talk to my clients, I really gauge whether they have the energy and the huge reserve, like a kind of reservoir of passion and energy that will allow them to make this journey, because you will need that. But passion and energy is not enough. A huge thing that you need is interestingly, ego. Because you have to leave your ego at the door a lot, because you need to pivot, you need to give up on ideas. And when ego takes over, that's when a lot of the time things go wrong. And I think currently some of the most famous entrepreneurs in the world are demonstrating that quite well. Now, in entrepreneurial mindset, what does it include? I think a lot of it is, as I said, making sure you identify your ego and you can dance with it. You know when to put it outside the door to have a great relationship with it. Another part is to see opportunities all the time. So how does entrepreneurial mindset relate to opportunity recognition is huge. An entrepreneur will see little gaps, little opportunities, everywhere. They will look at someone else's campaign and they will be able to pick things apart. They will see a problem where nobody else does. They have hunches. And a part of the entrepreneurial mindset is to run with them, but also to know that this could go wrong and then to say, all right, I was wrong, So it's really genius with a lot of humbleness combined. And then the most important thing is in those terms is also practice, right? Like the more you encounter this, the easier it gets. And I think what, to me, the hardest part was to choose the easy way, to understand that what comes easy to me does not necessarily come easily to everyone, and that it's not wrong to choose the easy route, but that it's actually a strike of genius, because most of us, we've been drilled that it has to be hard, it has to be difficult, that it has to be perfect even, don't color outside the lines, all of these things. And so a lot of us have been kind of told that perfectionism is something positive, when in the end, in entrepreneurship, it's the most difficult and it's really the most terrible thing that you can have, because it's such a trait that is very difficult to get rid of, but it will drain you of so much energy. And what I see a lot of the time is that my more mature clients, they are very much aware of it. They know when their perfectionism kicks in and it's annoying to them. And that's a good stage in terms of that you've identified it, you can work on it. Younger entrepreneurs, they don't even know. And for them, they burn so much energy on perfectionism when they could just hand that off. And I think that if you get to that stage, that I am very proud to proclaim I am absolutely in, and I was never a perfectionist, and I'm proud of that actually, is that I know exactly what I can do very well to perfection very easily, but also what I can't, and that it's not my job to burn all that energy in order to try to do that. So I will outsource those things, or I will get a counselor, or I will get a consultant or a coach to help me with that. Whatever I can do, I will never waste energy on something that I not really have a chance on doing perfect anyway. But getting there, it's a journey of personal development, of discussions, of having peers who get it and who can confirm that, and also to understand what you're good at and to be proud of that. And that is also something that doesn't come easy to most of us. And then finally, the question begs, can anyone learn to become an entrepreneur? And the answer, I think, is no. And that will be quite a shock maybe to some, but I honestly, deeply believe and am convinced that it is a personality trait that you cannot learn. Just like some of us will never be professional singers, just like some of us will never have the talent of being great musicians, I honestly believe some of us will never become great entrepreneurs. That doesn't mean that you can't be good CEOs in companies. You might be excellent decision makers for a big companies. That doesn't mean that you're an entrepreneur. It's something different. So having said that, can I reason it? Yes, give me a couple of days and I will be able to pull out all the academia that I need. It's part of my journey as a PhD candidate to do that. But it's also a gut feeling, because I'm working with so many entrepreneurs, and I'm working with and I meet a lot of people who think they are entrepreneurs or who work with entrepreneurs, and I can see a mile away who has the little spark that you need in order to succeed as an entrepreneur, because it's not just knowledge, it's an essence. So that is what I'm thinking. Does that mean you will not be successful in business if you don't have that spark? Not necessarily, if you're smart enough to know who to surround yourself with and to get help when you need it. You might be excellent at project management. That doesn't mean that you're an entrepreneur, though, but you might have an idea that has an absolute reason to be and has a promise of success, but you will need someone who sees what you can't see and who has the energy with you to keep you going. That is where consultants and coaches come in. I'm more on the consulting side than the coaching side, but a good business coach will be able to guide you there. So that's my 2 cents on this topic of an entrepreneurial mindset. It's been a lot. I hope you enjoyed some of it, and I will see you back in 2 weeks' time on the podcast and on the blog. Talk to you soon.